Mike Leach looking to keep building in year 3 of his tenure with Mississippi State. 4 wins in year 1, 7 wins last season, and they had 3 top 20 wins last season. But you got to beat that rival. You got to beat Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. Our Dennis Dodd sat down with the most interesting man in college football.
Mike Leach, the coach at Mississippi State, welcome to SEC Media Days. And I know eventually we'll talk football here, but all your players were talking about you're on some grizzly bear story on the plane over. What was that all about?
Well, I grew up in Cody, Wyoming, which is the east entrance of Yellowstone, and then I was in the 4th of July parade, which is a big event there, and of course Buffalo Bill founded Cody, Wyoming, and so I was there with, and Cole Hauser was in the parade too. How about that? And so, and then, but as I'm getting ready to go back home, and the best thing about Cody, Wyoming is it hadn't changed because you can't get there from here. Right. The worst thing though is you can't get there from here. So I'm kind of reading up what's going on. Okay, 2 people gored by buffalo, different instances, 2 different incidents of people getting gored by buffalo, taken to the Park County Hospital, which is in Cody. And then outside of Cody, somebody mauled by a bear, so they helicoptered him to Billings and Montana. And now it's been 2 weeks, so I don't know if anybody stayed out of harm's way since then. But yeah, that's quite a tally for 1 week,
So much safer in Starkville, I would think.
Yeah, I think it probably is. As far as tromping around Starkville might be safer, but this guy was an experienced guy. Usually, it's the guys by themselves where the bear can't hear you that inadvertently get between a mother and her cubs. So,
on to football. How proud are you, or what kind of accomplishment do you have in your mind with Will Rogers? All the great quarterbacks you've had, he set every school record there's worth setting. He's completed almost 3/4 of his passes. How proud of you or what you've done to get him where he is?
I don't know. We're still a work in progress. Still trying to get better. He's actually got 3 years left. The biggest thing he did, and what I thought he did most impressively, was he wasn't afraid to be the quarterback. He wasn't afraid to walk in and speak in the locker room as a true freshman. And that takes a certain amount of courage to do that. But he didn't hesitate and acted like he belonged there. And so rather than have stage fright for a year and a half, stepped in and was ready to play. And even though he had mistakes, just kept building on what he did, and then I think a number of our players have grown around him. So, the other thing is he's the kind of quarterback I like that needs to just get incrementally better. I don't like guys that just have a huge glaring weakness. I guess it depends what it is, but I want them to, be guys that incrementally improve, and that's where he's at. And then of course, if things don't go well, they'll hammer Will more than he deserves. And then if things do go well, I mean, the receivers, the running backs, and the O-line will all deserve more credit for executing sharp and synchronized. But they'll act like Will does a heck of a job. And then, of course, he's got to compete with the other quarterbacks too, and so we'll see how all that comes out. But now his leadership qualities, I think, are the best. He's a very unselfish player, and you don't hear people talk about that too much. I guess part of it before, when they'd say that, I mean, some guy that was just a selfish jerk, they'd always say, "Oh, he's really unselfish." Yeah, but make him sound good. But now that I'll tell you that the biggest distraction on a football team is somebody that's selfish, especially at that position. You got to eradicate selfish guys.
I don't have to remind you what your schedule has been called by some people the toughest in the country. Do you address it? Do you just say, hey, you got to win anyway, you got to play these guys? It is what it is.
Yeah, it's really similar to last year's schedule. You know, we played 6 top 25 teams, which was more than anybody in the country. And then we, what did we do? We beat 3 or 4 of them, and we were one of 4 teams to do that. So that's pretty good, you know. We just need to be a more consistent team, be a team that's kind of more consistent, because we're, you know, well, some of it's you, some of it just getting more experience, that type of thing. You know, because, you know, we have guys that have a lot of starts. We're still not real old, but we have a lot of starts. And, you know, everybody say, you know, how do you like that? Well, I didn't like it at all when a true freshman out there, you know, throw them to the wolves. That wasn't very fun. Well, it's getting more fun, you know.
Your defensive coordinators are sometimes best supporting actors in your offensive scheme, but Zach Arnett is a rising star. You've said that time after time. Why do you like him so much?
Yeah, he's committed to what he does. He's decisive. He's decisive. The other thing is the nature of what he does. I mean, some guys will be afraid to call it. He's not afraid to call it, and that's one thing. You know, people have good stuff, but then, you know, they'll get scared to call it, and well, that's not his way. And so, and I think he's a real good teacher. He's a very smart guy, and just a very, you know, kind of clear-minded guy.
Finally,
and like a lot of defensive guys, just Mr. Personality. You know?
Finally, you came to this league saying you wanted to test yourself, see how you do in the SEC. Where is that process now, 2 years in, going on 3?
I don't know, I've been in the league before when we were at Kentucky, but the biggest, I mean, it's, you know, this league, first of all, it's the most talented league, but that's relative. You say, wow, we have really good players. Then you turn on the film, so do they. You know, well, so as far as, you know, this league, I mean, it's, well, it's eerily similar to even going back to Iowa Wesleyan College. I mean, you know, I mean, this team's better than you, this team's worse than you. Fight your ass off, see if you can beat them, you know. That part's the same, you know. And so in teaching it, finding a more efficient, executing better way to do it, I mean, that doesn't change. And you know, and I know there's some SEC people out there that want something special, want something different. Where you know, this guy's really competitive. The better job he does at doing his job, if he could do that better than this guy, then he'll probably prevail in his one-on-one matchups. And then per play, we're going to add all those up, and then we're going to add all that up, and in all likelihood, the team will win that makes the most routine plays.
Mike, thanks so much. Stay away from the Buffalo, and good luck this season.
All right, yeah, I'm not going to walk right up and take a picture or try to pet a buffalo. Boy, I learned my lesson after reading that newspaper article.
Always interesting. Mike Leach heading into his 3rd season with Mississippi State. Dennis talked to him about the really tough schedule, the crossover games with Kentucky and with Georgia. They start the slate with a couple of non-conference games against Memphis, and then they go to Arizona before starting conference play in Death Valley at LSU.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.